Happy Inktober. This year for Inktober, I'm going to put kind of a little bit of a twist on things. And I'm going to incorporate all of the Halloween and horror movie stuff that I like. Into Empty Zone characters. And if you don't know what Empty Zone is, one, you've been sleeping. Two, what a great chance to learn. Alright, it's early. Things are definitely feeling a little rough. I do Inktober drawings. You know, we all have work that we have to do to get paid for. So I tend to do my Inktober drawings as my morning warm-ups. So if everything is going a little bit nasty so far, it's because holy shit, am I not warmed up? Okay, so this particular Inktober, the debut Inktober piece to start off 2017 is going to be Corinne, my main character from Empty Zone, as Pinhead from Hellraiser. So, a little Halloween meta for you. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up just for a brief second and get my really nasty gesture drawing down so I know where everything's gonna go, and then I'll shoot the shit. Like I said, this is a warm-up. This was not planned as well as it should have been. Yeah, that's what we want. A little further back. Jump, 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 jump. Yeah, see, I already fucked it all up. Let me see. Alright, for gestures, here's an eye. Yeah. Nose, mouth, cheekbone, goes up to the ear, hairline. Alright, we got this guy. We got this shoulder, so obviously we're going to back it on up. Just put you there because it's potentially a lot of erasing this morning. Shoom. Come on, man. Just get the energy. This process video might be a little different. If I find something to kind of try to explain, then awesome. But if not, how about I just kind of talk out loud a little bit. I shouldn't even be posting this shit. This is Jason off his game. As you can see in the bio, if you're new to me, I did learn a ton of how I paint from artists like Kent Williams. And again, that was one of the more helpful days when he called me over to his table and said, look at this. It's like I've never drawn a day in my life. And it was a very bad drawing of a head. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated him showing me that. is all mostly in shadow. This is her big mech arm. You guys, if I post half of this shit, you will definitely have seen things that this goes against my better judgment. Happy Inktober. Let's get to the ink, shall we? I want to do something a little bit more with these, like talking to a microphone with a pen in my mouth. I want to do something a little bit more with these to make them a little bit more illustrative, but you know what? That's always my goof in that when it and I've talked to other professionals about this. You know, you can just draw and paint and go crazy, and as soon as it matters, all of a sudden you kind of change how you work, and you become more conservative, more, you know, precious, and then you lose a lot of the energy. I gotta quit with all the precautions. Just jump the fuck in. All right, well, if this works, it'll definitely be one of the examples of you watching me pull something out of my ass. The whole point to a warm-up is to literally warm up. When you're going to make warm-ups mean something, like doing them for Inktober, I'm putting undue stress on myself for something that needs to be really, really, really utilitarian. The warm-up is just important, and it needs to just be a warm-up. Feeling a little bit better about it. I know I can bring it to some places. So we're just gonna keep going. Some pieces are going to be clean ink and messing around, and some pieces like this one are going to be pretty thick with kind of a push and pull of the whiteout, or of the gouache and whiteout and the ink. These have to get, even though they're warm-ups, these have to get a little bit faster, because the last thing you want is to spend all your energy on either your Inktober or your warm up, then you got nothing left for the actual work. We're gonna lead up into some scratchiness, some little hairs, those ones we all, something like that. We're going to just kind of do a closer up view of the spatter thing. So what I'm going to do is add the spatter to the face to help give it form and a little texture. But then, because I'm not going to go in with some heavy blacks or anything, I'm actually going to add spatter on the outside. So what that will do is allow me to accentuate the light source, the white highlights on this side. Right now it's obviously there. We're light here, we're dark here. But if we have a little bit of dark in the background, it's really gonna pop her up. So basically my thinking is it gets dark over here to help boost this light source. And if spatter happens over here, it's not necessarily to help boost any kind of form. Dip the guy in the ink. Do a couple of little, just right now I want to do the skin, so we're just going to go with a more of a refined tight spatter. And yeah, a little bit on that leather of the hand, definitely on the box. You can't see this now, but I'm just adding the spatter onto the leather front of her. We'll go ahead and add it to the leather back of her so we can accentuate that light source there. Her arm is still pissing me off, so we're gonna let that go right now. We're gonna add some thicker spatter right there, just because I like it. Yeah, and this is where everybody gives me shit for not masking stuff off, but such is life. So I know this is gonna be kind of the outskirts of my other spatter, so I can get a little bit heavier with it, sloppier with it. I like, I don't really care much for the masking off of stuff. Sometimes it's you know, sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's great. Here we go with kind of a big deal. There we go. Hey man, it's early. What do you want? Can't explain every goddamn thing. That's why we're around for a while. So I will explain probably every goddamn thing. Just, you know, send in questions, send in what you want to see, and we'll make it happen, dude. Sometimes, like now, it just kind of looks like a big spattery fucking mess. We wait just a second for it to dry. Just kidding. We're not gonna wait for anything to dry. All right, let's carve out some light source first. So this is what I was talking about. Now that we have all this guy, we can go back in. I'm only really being delicate because I also want the spatter to accentuate. I'm not going to go all like, I'm not going to redraw the grid work that makes Pinhead. Instead, I'm actually going to just fill inside and leave those edges because it implies a softness, which implies form, meaning that these will look somewhat raised. But now, as you can see now, like, that's going to stand out. This is it's such a great graphic effect. If you're not going to add this fucking white out, it's too dead. All right. I'm just gonna kind of recarve this ear. I'll probably have to go back in with the black a little bit just to kind of redraw parts of this ear. Light source on this big metal part of her shoulder. Light source there, there. These little bolts. I love the spatter thing. If I can be obnoxious for a second, I just don't like it when I see people misuse it and they just start throwing white on top of spatter just because there's something immediately kind of neat about it. And really people are just kind of retracing their outlines, but just slightly to the side of it, where it's a light, you know, it's like toning and all that. There's a reason for it. It's not just because it looks cool. The benefit is that it looks cool. But so what we're doing on this side, if I can quit rambling, is that with the same purpose as the other side, we're carving the spatter away in the background. So that allows us to have this kind of weight that the spatter has here and the weight that it has here without going to solid black. So because when you cut these out, when you cut these shapes out with the white out, it solidifies it here as you were cutting it out in white on this side. Jason's getting all fucking teachy today. Alright, so since we have kind of more of a light source obviously on this side, we're going to actually go over the grid just a little. Might have to be more solid black over here. Not that it lacks, you know, weight or anything like that. I want to put more attention. It's a compositional thing. I just want to put more attention on that puzzle box, since it's a major part of the quote-unquote costume that she's wearing, or character that she's being. This is, you know, a character of mine named Corinne White from a book that I write and draw called Empty Zone. Those who haven't checked it out and you're on my Patreon, that's awesome. Please check it out. I think you might dig it. All right, let's get into some Pinhead stuff. Wait. Oops. Just want to make sure we're all golden. Making the nails too short. There while we're here, let's give this box even more weight. Inevitably, this kind of a thing is just finding that right balance on how much black you want to put on it, and how far you kind of want the stylized shape. I don't think I finished that sentence. How much you want this kind of stylized shape to exist, you know? Just a, I don't know what this is, a uniball, white gel pen. I worked with a lot of non-waterproof inks for a long time. These and a lot of gel pens don't vibe on that. But since this is waterproof ink, it seems to be doing quite well. We absolutely need to figure out this goddamn arm. This is that part I was referring to earlier. Let me see. So this is one of those points in the idea of a warm-up or morning sketch that it really becomes very beneficial, because if I'm being really honest, right now, like, I don't really have a direction. I'm just her arm is even though it has somewhat of a, even though it has a set design, her arm to me is almost an abstraction, where, especially when I'm doing singular pieces, not not sequential or things that require continuity. Anytime you're ever going to see an empty zone print or pin up or cover or anything else, you're going to see the arm kind of just explode into mech awesomeness. I try not to like fuck around with the design too much from panel to panel when I'm doing the actual book. Just because it might confuse the reader. But the reason to abstract it and the reason to play with it is, other than just the fact that it's really, really fun, is because psychologically you want to kind of get this across, that this is just a fucking inorganic thing attached to this organic person. And the more you abstract and the more that you kind of stray from the literal, the more emotive, the more emotional impact that you can have. It's the reason guys like Francis Bacon, you know, have such a thing. People are just like, oh, he's the guy who did all the smeared blurry faces. One, you know, you remember that because it affected you. Two, it was more than just the smeared blurry faces. He wanted to leave the impression of someone behind, you know, like you don't need to literally just draw the person in order to do a really effective portrait. He wanted to draw the sense of the person and kind of just leave that there for you, and you can interpret it how you choose. I like to try to do that as much as possible. Definitely in my fine art work, but I would love to do this more and more in comics. Become less literal, more emotive, more abstract. This one definitely was a fight. If I'm going to be truly honest with you guys, and why not? We're friends. Was so excited. I do get excited about things like Inktober. And we all know what happens when you let things build up too much in your head. All of a sudden, it becomes a little intimidating. What am I going to do? I do a lot of work in ink. Maybe there are expectations, maybe not. Maybe it's just my ego. But you know, this is real talk. This is what happens. So I'm sure a lot of my fuck ups on this piece, which hopefully won't exist on the next one, is getting over that initial intimidation of starting Inktober. And all right, we're good. So I'm gonna probably end this one with a scan of the image, and I'll try to put that up. And there you go. I know the camera's still kind of tight, you know, through the magic of editing. So yeah, there you go. Cheers.